Hey guys, and welcome to another Age of Mythology video where we test what the best non-upgraded siege unit is in the game. So when you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. In this video we'll be testing the best land siege unit in the game without the extended edition Chinese expansion. The units in this video will be the Helepolis, Petrobolos, Siege Tower, Egyptian Catapult, Portable Ram, Ballista, Ballista, Fire Siphon, Destroyer, and as an extra the Colossus and Phoenix, two of the best myth siege units in the game. Now for the first test, what I simply did is 1v1 them against a regular long wooden wall. I then timed the amount of time it took them to finish off this wall, and don't worry, I didn't count in the time that the melee units took to walk towards the wall. I tested the time for all of the units from the first to the last hit. And keep in mind, all of these units in these tests will be non-upgraded. Now this video won't be about the upgrades or the specials or what they're really good for. It will basically just be which unit does the most amount of damage against buildings. And we'll be testing it against a wall and a wonder. And I have to say, some units were pretty surprising. Also, one thing I should mention, the Greek catapult does have smaller rocks, which you can see on the video on screen, and not all of them hit. The Greek catapult, aka the Petrobolos, does have a kind of spray pattern, or it doesn't always hit all three chunks of rock, so it isn't as good against singular buildings, but it is good against a large amount of buildings in a small area. Much like the Fire Giant special attack or the Phoenix, which also has an area of effect attack. But because of the nature of the tests in this video, we won't be able to see the advantage the Phoenix does get. And most of the time, if you're sieging a player's base or even an AI, a lot of buildings won't be next to each other, so you really can't take advantage of the AoE splash damage as often as you'd like to. Now, out of all of the units, the Helepolis is the fastest siege unit, and it also has the largest health pool. And if you add in 5 Toxotes inside it, it's even better. It could kill the wall in 5 to 7 seconds, which is pretty impressive. And I know it's not an upgraded wall, but that doesn't matter, as the second test is 10 of each unit against a wonder, and seeing how quickly they can actually destroy it. Now the results of this test were slightly different, and some units were actually faster than the others in the previous test, which is interesting. Now, I do want to say I also tested them against a tier 1 cavalry unit, namely being a Hippocon, and seeing how many of them can actually fight back, because you may or may not know that catapults, for example, cannot fight back because they will try and run away, and if they're on their own, they're just going to die against pretty much any unit. And this is because of the game mechanics. The catapult wants to run away to attack from a distance, as it cannot attack in melee distance, while the Hippocon can, of course. So as you guys can see, here's the overview of the siege units and myth units and how long they took down the wall, the wonder, and if they're able to fight or even kill the cavalry unit. It also shows the unit cost for those that are interested. I mean, for example, the destroyer is 70 food and 60 gold and takes 3 population, while the Helepolis is 300 wood, 200 gold and 5 population. For a little more resources to even it out, a couple of destroyers could finish off that wall much quicker. And as you can see, the splash damage or the multiple small rocks from the Greek catapult, being the Petrobolos, does actually make it worse compared to the Egyptian massive rock ammo catapult. Because in both tests, the Egyptian catapult was actually faster. Now the portable ram is really good for the cost. As you can see, it killed the wall in 10 seconds, and 10 of them destroyed a wonder in 16 seconds in the sped up scenario. In fact, they're better than the Ballista and cheaper, so in my opinion, one of the better bang for buck siege units in this list. But overall, the best siege unit is of course the Helepolis, because it kills walls and wonders the fastest. It can also hold 5 units, and has a very large health pool compared to the other siege units. It's just such a good unit. I cannot say any of the other units are better. And honestly, the Greek do have very powerful late game siege units, including the Colossus. I gotta say, by the way, before I mention anything, the catapults are of course useful because of their range. They can literally attack town centers and fortresses without being attacked themselves. Kind of like artillery, if you may. Now the fire siphon is also pretty good, and I have to say the Helepolis is slightly better than the siege tower, but the siege tower is a lot cheaper, costing 100 less wood and 100 less gold, and only taking up 3 populations. So I guess it comes down to which god you're playing and your personal preference, but you do have a good idea of what these siege units now can do and which ones deal more damage and break down buildings faster. So I hope you guys found this video interesting and enjoyable. If you did, please leave a like down below and maybe even consider subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.